Good morning. We have a galaxy of legal luminaries and stalwarts of Indian bar gathered here to pay tribute to Fali Nariman, who was president of the Bar Association of India for 2 decades, with Mr. Lalit Bhasin as General Secretary. Friends, I am getting into this sequence just by virtue of holding a position. But when Attorney General says that he is like a squirrel before the greatness, elephantine greatness of Fali Nariman, I am just an ant. But from an ant's perspective, I can see the enormity of his stature in much more bigger proportion to grasp and to admire. The Bar Association of India was always an extended family for Fali, and he never grew far from it. For all the endeavors we had been doing, even if he is not a part of it, a short email or a letter will validate what we are doing and will give us enormous confidence and belief that in some measure we are able to carry forward his legacy, which we are committed to do. Mr. Chagla told about being admitted to his lunch table. During all the time I was attending the executive committee meeting, we always had the refreshments ordered by Fali, and they were all each time very consistent, from an old bakery in Connaught Place, Wenger's, and there'll be a pastry, a cake, a veg sandwich, a non-veg sandwich, a veg patty and a non-veg patty, and coffee and tea. And on one occasion, we were having our meeting in Solicitor General's chambers, and by mistake, late P.P. Rao happened to pick and bite chicken patty. And being a South Indian Brahmin, having a bite of non-veg, everybody was looking. He said, "What is this? A chicken patty." Somehow I said, "But sir, the chicken was vegetarian." And Fali had that kind of spontaneous laughter. "Oh, baby, chicken was vegetarian, so don't mind." So this is how he was able to just meld with all of us. In the beginning, it was quite strange for me as a rank newcomer at the bar and to the Bar Association to, come to terms for addressing him as Fali. Because, here we all use G, the surname, and never the first name, but, we got used to it. And that created a kind of bond where you could have a conversation, which always he liked, to hear your thoughts, not just give his own. Another thing why we have dedicated this rule of law convention to his memory, because it is keeping him in mind that this convention was launched, because he was always the soldier of the rule of law, of the independence of judiciary, and of independence and fearlessness of legal profession. And for the first convention, he said we should invite somebody who epitomizes rule of law. So we did not go for a chief justice or a sitting judge or anyone. we had the former Chief Justice J.S. Verma to inaugurate the first rule of law convention. Because in Fali's mind, he was the one who stood for the moral sanctity, and along with him was a moral compass for the nation. He was also of the view that in working sessions, inviting judges to chair or to speak inhibits free and frank discussion. So he always discouraged it, unless until he said you find that a judge is a domain expert. Otherwise, let the bar has fearless free flow of discussion. And that is the practice we have followed in the Bar Association of India. Everyone talks about his contribution, where he led the arguments in the NJAC case. Now there is another dimension here, which we as a small team, along with Subhashji, Anandita, myself, were assisting Fali, majorly Subhash, but Fali always was ready to chat and listen to you. Even at some times, he would say, why you want to give this? If other side has that, this will fall very badly on you. Because these are the aspects we will miss. We will think that this particular article aspect is in our favor, but Fali could immediately grasp that how it could be used by the other side. That was his vibrant strategic mind. And when the court asked, whom do you represent? And his famous answer that I represent independence of judiciary has a small story behind it. We had several events on the Bar Association of India and at several other fora. Fali very energetically led the charge against the collegium system, according to which it had failed. And he was the staunchest critic. But then, when this formulation came as a constitution amendment, he had to take up cudgels to challenge it. Now, to balance this, his open advocacy against the collegium system and then to attack the formulation which has come was not a delicate task. He was representing Advocates on Record Association, and perhaps in the beginning of his thought process, Subhashji can enlighten more. He thought that the previous NDA government had appointed Venkatachalaya Commission, and it is Venkatachalaya Commission which had recommended the formation of a judicial appointment commission, which had a judicial majority, but a law minister a member as well. But later on, through discussions and other things, and that is much more validated in today's age of social media and anybody posting any comment. Even if you have the most independent, dedicated to judicial independence law minister, still just imagine a law minister sitting every couple of weeks with the judges to discuss appointments as a closed group in a closed room, and simultaneously those very judges are hearing contested cases of seminal importance. This very combination and these frequent meetings, because you have to make appointments not just to Supreme Court but all the high courts in enormous numbers, what it could have led in terms of public speculation undermining not just the appointments but the very sanctity of judicial process. So when we discussed that, and we had filed a second petition from the Bar Association of India, in which we said that even having a law minister is going to be perilous to independence of judiciary and working of an independent court. So that's why when the question came, because the judges had read the prayer, that whom do you represent? Then Fali said, independence of judiciary, because he was not going to any longer press for Venkat Chalayya commissions to be recommended. The other thing which is often spoken about is that Fali, for 38 years, had only one junior. So it is not just that he got tremendous assistance from him in terms of legal research, formulation of arguments, and making him prepare. Fali was always all chaos. We saw him each argument, each strand of thought in one pocket, in the other pocket, in this pocket, in that pocket, and in which pocket what is where. Even Fali will not know. But there was another reason. Subhash is from the Hindi heartland, much more earthy compared to the urbane sophistication of Fali. So while choosing the junior and sticking with him for 38 long years, the same way, we had same menu every executive committee meeting, there was another reason behind. He used him as a sounding board, as a contrarian, as a junior who could speak up and connect him to the soil. That was something which only a master like him could cherish and get from somebody. So that is another part, as another, junior I can feel, that how not only the seniors nurture a junior, how they utilize the strengths, the character, the lived experience of a junior or the one assisting them. And that is a unique greatness of Fali as well. The other thing is, as all of us could address him as Fali. The most endearing trait of his character was lack of any pretensions whatsoever. He could talk to any junior with a kind of comfort level you cannot imagine. You always hesitated and stood apart. But once you said hello and he came back with an answer, how are you, what you do, and all, with that, his, that very sublime baritone, you were drawn into his circle, and for rest of your life you were never out of it. I can speak endlessly, because in Bar Association of India we discussed so many things. We went to so many places within the country and outside. We had his company, not just in court, but on travel, him and Bapsi. It can be endless, because that warmth, that feeling of closeness, one can never get over. So, only one thing I will say more. One of my favorite writers is Milan Kundera, who wrote about the Central Europe, which was still under socialist and communist regime, and represented a very unique sensibility in his writings. So in one of his novels, which is called Farewell Waltz. Fali, he wrote a long time ago, a certain cynic philosopher proudly paraded around Athens in a moth-eaten coat, hoping that everyone would admire his contempt for convention. When Socrates met him, he said, "Through the hole in your coat I see your vanity. Your dirt too, dear sir, is self-indulgent, and your self-indulgence is dirty." Fali was never self-indulgent. He was always trying to learn, shape, and modify his thoughts. And now he is no more with us. I hope that Socrates, who must be stiff bored, will getting all these people full of vanity even in heaven for a company, to get now Fali with him without pretensions. And I can imagine that in heaven Socrates will welcome him and give him a warm hug. With this, I want all of you to have the warm and fond memories of Fali, and for that we have published and given to you the compilation of President pages written by him over 20 years for Indian Advocate. I hope that it will help you, you will cherish it, and you will treasure it, as is the memory of Fali. Thank you.